Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. Today I'm going to I need to start getting back to my CNC projects. Even though I've been working outside a lot lately, I don't want to lose what I learned last year. So I'm going to get back to every Sunday. I'm going to do a CNC project just to keep up my, keep up the don't lose what I already learned. So right here, we're going to start a new project, and the width of my project is 24. The height of my project is 9 15/16. So let's see what that is. Get my little calculator converter here. Clear 9 inches, 15/16. And that's 9. So my height is going to be 9.9375. It's important to get these measurements as close to accurate as possible. And we're going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. So 0.75. And there's our project. We're going to do standard because we're going to do a simple V-carve. And let's hit OK. The next thing we're going to do, we are going to import a bitmap. Let's see, is that right? Yeah, import bitmap. Now, the one I'm going to use this, I want to do an eagle. So what we're going to make today is we're going to make a cheese, like a serving tray. A nice size one to be able to serve, salamis and, just a cheese tray. But I want to have this eagle on it. And so right here, we're gonna select the eagle. We're gonna go over here to the little bird and trace bitmap. And it's going to, now we want to do black and white, which is already there. We'll leave all these default settings. You always have to hit preview first. So we'll go ahead and preview it. And then we're going to hit apply and close. Now what we need to do is go in here and we're going to highlight everything. We're going to right click. We're going to hit ungroup objects. Now we're going to click out of there. And then we're going to select all the stuff in here that we don't want. And hit delete. Now this is going to take a little time. Actually, we need to get rid of this picture too. There we go. Okay, so we need to get rid of all this stuff in here that we don't want. We'll zoom in a little bit. Get rid of all the little pieces because they will cause trouble. Now we're going to zoom into our eagle. We're going to zoom in here and make sure it looks good. Okay, now we want to group this back together. So we'll go ahead and highlight it, group objects, and hit OK. Now we're going to highlight it again, and we're going to go over here to the centering tool, and we're going to center it on our workspace. Now this is just going to be, so I'm going to select this. I want this to be a little bigger. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down, and right about there is good. Now this is going to be a simple project just to kind of get me back in the groove of making things. So I'm going to double check that this is in the center. Okay, it is in the center. So we're going to close that. Now we're going to go over to our V-carve. We're going to do a simple V-carve on this. Now we need to make sure that it's not going to dig all the way through this thing. So let's check the V-carve. 1502 bit. We're going to do a 0. We're going to start at 0. And no clearance tools. All that looks good. Let's see what this looks like. It might say it goes through, but oh, it didn't go through. So let's preview. Wow. Actually, that turned out pretty nice the first time. And it went pretty deep, but it didn't go through. And that has happened before where it'll cut too deep. Actually, I really like the way that looks. Let me know in the comments what you think of that. Okay, this thing is ready to cut. Now, we'll go ahead and go down here to this, we'll go ahead and rename it, just so VCarve 1, and then we're going to put the bit, 1502. That way we know which bit it is. Now I'm going to close that. I'm going to insert my little USB. Okay, now we're going to highlight the toolpath. We're going to save the toolpath. And we are going to, oh, that's good. Save toolpath. We're going to save it to the USB drive. And there it is. All right, let's take this over to the machine and we'll cut this simple thing out. Right here, I go through my Avid checklist. Basically, get the machine turned on, get your material clamped down really good. Now, I recently surfaced this whole table, so I had to take out my T-tracks. So right here, I'm going to basically use some wood, some homemade wood clamps to clamp both sides of this down. And basically, what I did was I glued this is maple and walnut, and I glued this together previous day, and then I ran it through my DeWalt planer on one side, and then I basically clamped it down square to the table. Right here you can see I'm having to use a corded drill because I burned up my my 25-year-old Milwaukee drill, which I'm gonna soon replace. Actually, I'm gonna get the same drill because I had such good luck with it. Now right here, I'm gonna use a straight cut. Now this is a keyhole bit that's already in my machine. And what I need to do is I need to do the XYZ with a straight cut bit. That way, when I go to do my V-bit, it'll ensure that my eagle is going to be dead center of my material. Right here, I'm homing my machine, the usual first step. I then get it set up to do the touch plate. And like I said, I always do a touch plate with a straight bit and then put my V-bit in there. And I've been having good success with that. There goes X, Y, and Z. And now that part's ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change over to this 1502 V-bit by Whiteside. Now I don't know if I'm going to buy any more bits from Whiteside actually. When I first bought from them, I had a couple broken bits that broke and they replaced them. And the same bits that broke again. So, and the second time, they didn't replace them. So I think I'm going to try a different manufacturer when I do get to that point where I buy some more bits. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the best bits that you use. And yeah. Right here, I'm doing the Spindle Warm-Up. So I go through the whole checklist. You know, the only thing I'm not going to do on this checklist, I'm going to leave my dust shoe off so that you can see the V-bit cutting the eagle. Right here we're finished with the warm-up and we're going to go ahead and start cutting this. And then I'm shooting this with this video is shot with my GoPro and here it goes. Now I realized after about halfway there wasn't a lot of light on this, so I ended up putting some light on it so the video would show up a little better. But here it is cutting the eagle. There's some more light. Again, this is a 1502 bit by Whiteside, a 90-degree V-bit. Okay, here you can see the eagle fully carved out with the V-groove bit. Okay, I don't know what happened in my video, but when I was pouring this epoxy yesterday, my GoPro quit on me. But basically what I did was I'm gonna do a black eagle, and what I used this Japanese steel gray made by Eye Candy. It's a mica powder, and then I used super clear tabletop epoxy. I mixed 3 ounces of each, which was too much. All I really needed was probably 3 ounces total. So I wasted about 3 ounces. Anyway, yeah, it's fully cured now. And now what we need to do is sand it and square it off, and then router it and oil it, and then put the little rubber feet on. And yeah, we'll get this thing done and we'll see how it turns out. Anyway, let's get started. First thing I do is turn on my Dust Right dust collection, and I run it through the planer a couple times just to take off the bulk of the epoxy. If you have to sand that much epoxy, it does take some time. But if you run it through the planer a few times and get it kind of down to where you want it, it works better. Right here, I hook up the dust collection to my Makita sander, and I turn on the overhead wind air purifier. Right here, I'm sanding the back of the serving tray first, and then I will proceed to sand the top. Now I start off with some 60 grit just to get a lot of this epoxy off, and then I go to 100, and then 200, and then I think I went up to 250 on this particular project. Once I get it all sanded, I check to make sure the eagle's in the center, and what I want to do is cut the 2 ends off nice and square. And I take it over to my small DeWalt table saw, and proceed to run both sides through there, square it up nice. I then get out my Porter cable, my small Porter cable router, and I'm going to put a little quarter turn, or a little quarter round around both top and the bottom. Next up, I do a little more sanding. Get off any burn marks from the router or any lines. It was then ready to put the little rubber feet on. And I put these feet 1 inch from each corner. I just squared them up at 1 inch. And I'm actually using, I don't have my Milwaukee drill anymore, so I'm using a Makita impact that I've also had for a long, long time. Now it was ready for oil, and I'm using mineral, an organic food grade mineral oil on this. And I'll basically just put it on heavy and let it dry. And there it is in all its glory, the Eagle serving tray. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, ring the bell, and I will see you next time. Later. There it is up close. The stars didn't quite come out, but I still am really happy with it. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of the Eagle serving tray. It's about 24 inches long by about 10 inches. Yeah, 10 by 24. Perfect size. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.